Well, I'm going to talk about childbirth again. I know I did this a few weeks ago, and I did say I had some experience. I've watched a bit of Call the Midwife. But we're talking about a birthday today, the birth of the church, the great Jewish feast of Pentecost. And you will know, those of you who had experience of childbirth, that before the birth, there's all sorts of things that need to happen. I am not going to go into detail at this point, beyond to say that there needs to be labour. There needs to be nurture. There needs to be a taking care of the woman who is carrying the baby. There needs to be care for that child. And when the day comes for the birth of the child, there is expectation. I understand there's quite a bit of pain involved with that bit as well, but there's also joy at the coming of something new and wonderful and full of potential. And that's what we are celebrating on this birthday. The disciples are in their upper room, having said farewell to the risen Christ, but living in the promise that something wonderful is about to come to birth. And they have a promise. They don't have the little thing from the hospital which says whether it's a boy or girl, but they do have Jesus' promise that what is coming will be the Spirit. Now, they know a little bit about the Spirit because they know their Old Testament scriptures. They know that at the beginning of time, the Spirit brooded over the waters and helped to bring order out of chaos. And throughout the Old Testament, they will have heard of the word ruach, a Hebrew word which means the breath of God. But here's something a bit unexpected. What is it that God is giving birth to in their lives? Well, they've had quite a bit of labour and a bit of pain to undergo. It's quite a journey that the disciples have been on with this person that they know as Jesus. And that nurturing of them, that taking care of them, that feeding them, that holding them through that period of their own coming to birth is what Christ does. He's not expecting instant results from them, but he invests in them. He gives them time to experience who he is. He gives them words, ideas, and images to lead them into a place where they might have a greater understanding of who he is and what his mission is. He tells them, actually, it's not going to be easy. There will be labour pains in the bringing in of this new birth. And we've had that wonderful journey right from the beginning of Lent to today. And if you've had a chance to look at our posters, part of that journey illustrated around us, the opening of the tomb, all the way round to the coming of the Spirit at Pentecost over here. Stations marking points in that journey. The disciples have gone through great pain, despair, and torment. But they also been faced with the ultimate puzzle. Christ risen from the dead. And they just get used to that idea, and he says, well, I'm off now, but don't worry, because the Spirit is coming. The Spirit of truth that will lead you into all truth. And so what do? Well, they don't go down to the party planners and buy the balloons. They don't get the cards. They don't get the food in. They pray. They go to a place with which they are familiar, and as community, they pray. Into that prayer, on the day of Pentecost, God releases his Spirit. And they don't go running around the streets of Jerusalem saying, this is wonderful, this is great, have a balloon. Into that space, people are drawn. They're drawn by the prayer, by the presence of the Spirit. And they're drawn from all over the world, people of different races, languages, creeds, colours. They are drawn in to the love of God. They're drawn into the life of the Spirit. They're drawn into the presence of Christ here in this place. And it's from there that the birth happens. And the disciples have the courage, the strength, all the stuff that Jesus has been giving them, saying, you can do this. This is who you are. And the Spirit comes and they grow into the person that God has called them to be. Disciples and apostles of our Lord Jesus Christ. So as we celebrate this great feast of Pentecost, what we need to understand is that Christ is equipping us all the time through our experience, through our prayer, through our common life as a Christian community, both here in this church, throughout the Diocese of Lincoln, throughout the world. We are one in that. And Christ is leading us to a place where the Spirit may truly dwell within us, and we may become the people that God intends us to be. Believers in our Lord Jesus Christ, lovers of God our Father, but filled with his Spirit, that we may be Christians, who we are and where we are. And if that's being at home praying, so be it. If it's out doing stuff in the community, so be it. We all have our place within God's kingdom. And God gives us the Spirit so that we can truly become who he has intended us to be all along. So it's a great festival today, the coming of the Spirit, the great third person of the Trinity. And the Spirit brings to birth wonderful things in the church and continues to do so today. How often do people say to me, it's a terrible world, isn't it? Wars, etc., and so on. But the Spirit is working for good. And there are good news stories going on. Within those awful experiences that people are happening, there are people reaching out to help. There is transformation taking place. And that transformation is part of what we should expect as Christians, through our prayer, through our service, through our ministry to one another. So may God give you the gifts of his Spirit, and may you use them wisely and with his love. Amen. Bella, what do we always have at a birthday? Cake. Do you want to see if we can find a cake? Can't have a birthday without a cake, can we? So can you find a cake? Cake. Are you sure that's a cake?
Yeah.
You sure?
Cake.
It's got a candle in it.
Still a cake.
It's still a cake. Do you want to hold it for us very carefully? Thank you. So we've only got a small cake this year because we've got loads of cakes at the back for you to have later. But can we sing Happy Birthday to the Church? Now, I have to say, every year we do this, and somebody at the end of the service says to me, who are we singing Happy Birthday to? It's to the church. Okay, Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to the church. Happy birthday to you. Do you think you'd be able to blow the candle out for us with a big wish? Fantastic, thank you. Do you want to take that back up to the back for us now? Thank you very much.